What's up, everybody? Here we are, Monday, April 8th. Hope everybody's on their WrestleMania hangover like me. Any WrestleMania for you last night, Adam?
No.
You're an adult.
No. Yeah. Went to the Orioles game, came home, went to sleep.
There you go. No NBA today. It's going to be an interesting day, so we are full speed ahead on baseball. MLB Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. Any package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. So if you want to check it out, MLB Strategy, one big word. 8-gamer today. Nice, perfect little start to the week. I'm looking forward to it. Got got 2 games with 3 teams with north of 5 implied totals. Could be some run scoring today. I'm excited.
Yeah, should be. It's finally getting to the point where we're getting at least reasonably sized slates and also not aces going every single day. Yeah. So it should start to get a little bit more fun.
I'm pumped for it. We're getting in there now. 2 more days of NBA regular season coming up tomorrow and Wednesday, and then tapping out until the playoffs. Cannot wait. We're going to start with your Orioles. Taking on the A's, 4.6 run implied total for the O's, 5.2 for the A's. It's a 56% chance to win for Oakland. Andrew Cashner on the hill for Baltimore. I feel like he throws every day. Marco Estrada going for the A's. Going to go out on a limb and say that we probably don't want a ton of Andrew Cashner here. I don't really need any Marco Estrada. Do you have any interest in pitching?
Not really. I was thinking I might have some interest in Estrada, but he's priced up for the Orioles, so yeah. I don't really need a $7,300 Estrada. If he was still down around $6K, I'd be interested.
Yeah, there's no reason to go to that tier. Either just keep going up to someone better or go to someone equally as not good at a much lesser salary. Bats, though, this one's going to rule. I can't stop getting a lot of Orioles. And unfortunately, I get a lot of Chris Davis, just generally on a day-to-day basis. And he's the worst baseball player ever.
Yeah. Have you changed your projections to just completely ignore the fact that he used to be able to hit a baseball?
That will happen later this afternoon because there's no way in hell, one, that I'm going to play 29% Chris Davis or that I want to be over the field when they're at 21.
Yeah, no.
Gonna pass on
that. I did that going to the game yesterday. I did get to see him hit the ball a couple of times. That was actually pretty shocking.
The batting practice?
Yeah. But it was pretty disappointing though because the Orioles brought in a position player to pitch and it wasn't even Chris Davis. So I now have absolutely no idea why he's on the roster.
He's totally hitless, right? He's
over
his last 47 or something.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like I can do that.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of funny to look at the scoreboard and see Jesus Sucre hitting 220 points higher than Chris Davis.
Oh my God, 3,900 on DK. How many shares of Chris Davis will you have today?
Probably not a lot.
I do like some of the rest of the Orioles. They're just so stupidly priced on FanDuel. Mullins hitting leadoff 2,200. Dwight Smith is 2,800. Rio Ruiz is 2K as a third baseman hitting in the 5-hole. Will you be getting to the Orioles?
At those prices, yeah. On DraftKings, they're a little bit more expensive, but I still like Mancini here. Estrada has struggled with right-handed power, really every year recently, and Mancini's hitting really, really well. He dealt with an injury kind of late April last year. He had an ankle injury, missed some time, came back, never really hit that great. There was some speculation that it was just a lingering injury all season long, and he's kind of making me think that's the case with how well he's hitting this year. A couple of years ago, it looked like he was kind of turning a corner and really progressing as a hitter, and then last year was just kind of a lost year. So I do have a lot of interest in Mancini. Ruiz against Estrada is okay. Obviously prefer him at the 2K price on FanDuel.
Yeah.
But Mancini's my favorite guy here.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, pretty clearly the best bat in this lineup as well. No issue with Mancini. I'm getting to a lot of Orioles as of right now. Most of that has to do with getting a lot of Justin Verlander, who's the most expensive pitcher on FanDuel, and needing cheaper stacks. And a 4.6 run implied total really in this game is not bad. considering how bad this lineup actually is, I'm really surprised that it's as high as it is.
Yeah, so am I. I'm actually surprised by the implied run total for both teams here.
Yeah. Would you expect Oakland's to be like 7 or 8 since it's Cashner?
No, I thought it should be lower.
Yeah. I'm digging Oakland as well on FanDuel. Their hitter prices on FanDuel this year are just, it feels like DraftKings centers. Everybody's so cheap. Like Robbie Grossman, 2,700 leading off. It's hard to turn that down.
It feels like FanDuel pricing. It feels like FanDuel pricing in every sport every year except for this year in NBA because of the drop.
Yeah.
Like I thought maybe they had, as a site, decided to make their games more competitive, but it was just NBA.
Yeah, it's really crazy. I have a ton of this game. I'm not really comfortable with it if everybody else is going to be on it too. Actually, I should refresh that. I didn't refresh my exposures until I got the new got our ownership projections. That'll move people around a little bit. Favorite bat coming from Oakland. This is not, I mean, they're just like an oddly solid lineup of dudes that I don't care about. It's so weird.
Chris Davis hurt, I guess.
Not in the projected.
Yeah. But Kendry Morales actually is probably my favorite. Cashner gives up more power to lefties. Morales has power. It is a park upgrade, obviously, for Oakland. Yeah. So I mean, Chapman, Piscotty, also I think good plays. But Morales is probably my favorite.
Yeah, Morales and Chapman grading out as 1-2 for me on FanDuel. Chapman would be number 1 for me on DK from the A's.
Yeah, like I'd much rather pay $4,300 for Morales than $39 for Davis.
Would you rather pay $4,300 for Morales or 0 for Davis?
$4,300 for Morales.
Yeah, I'm just gonna end up with way too much of this game.
Do you remember when FanDuel made Kike Hernandez? I think it was like $14 a couple years ago against Kershaw.
Yeah,
I feel like sites should start doing that every day with Davis.
Just make him $100.
Yeah.
What would his ownership be if he were free today?
Yeah, I mean, it should be really, 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 really high.
Yeah.
Like he'd be an optimal play. Probably.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe he'll never get a hit again.
The only problem on DraftKings is the opportunity cost at first base. On FanDuel, he absolutely would be an optimal play because you can just still roster a first baseman.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Trying to think of anything else in this game. It's weird. It's an appealing game from that run total, but it's like nothing really stands out.
It's a really ugly projected lineup for Oakland too. Like Robbie Grossman doesn't really have power. He doesn't strike out. He walks, gets on base, but doesn't do a whole lot of things that are useful for DFS. Chapman, Piscotty, Morales obviously all have power. Chad Pinder is whatever. Marcus Semion's whatever. Laureano's looked good, but hitting 7th or 8th. It's not the most appealing lineup overall.
No, but you don't have a choice if they're going to have a 5-run implied total and Andrew Cashner's on the bump. Like you're going to have stacks. I like them. I'm going to have quite a bit of the A's. Head to Philadelphia. Phillies. I hit enter? Enter. There we go. Phillies and Nats. 4.9 run implied total for the Phillies. 4.2 for the Nats. It's a 56% chance to win for Philadelphia. Vince Velasquez going for Philly. Anibal Sanchez going for the Nats. I'll have a little bit of Velasquez. 6,800 on FanDuel is kind of a crazy price for him for his sort of stuff. So he grades out really well as a pay down option. I just kind of like a couple guys that are north of him. I don't really understand why he's priced where he is. How do you feel about him on DraftKings?
I'm always kind of interested in him just because when he's on, like his strikeout stuff can be really, really good. Yeah. But this spot in particular really scares me. You have some good fastball hitters in the middle of this Washington lineup, and that's basically what Velasquez needs to be successful. Is his hard fastball to work well, and Rendon, Soto, Zimmerman in the middle of this lineup really kind of scare me.
He's getting a little love. 13% expected ownership on both sites. Totally understand that 13 on FanDuel. For him to be 6,800 today is really weird. I get it. I understand who they're facing, but for him to be the 5th cheapest pitcher on a 16 pitcher slate. That's kind of nuts. So I'm going to get there. I probably won't get there as much as the public, but I think he's a really nice option there. And on DraftKings, I'm kind of just indifferent. Any Annabelle Sanchez for you?
No. Ballpark downgrade, really good Philly lineup. I would say out of the offenses we've talked about so far, Philly's my favorite one.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you that I really love the Nats, so this should be a fun discussion. And again, I'm talking FanDuel, so different. I assume you meant from a DK perspective?
I just meant from an overall scoring the most runs perspective.
Oh, okay. Well, talk to me about Philly. What are you liking today? What stands out?
I mean, the lineup obviously just really, really deep. Sanchez, I'm not expecting to be all that good this year. He, kind of had put things together at times last year, but I still don't think he's particularly good. And we know that this Phillies lineup has so many good hitters in it that even against, good pitchers, they offer upside. I just like that they cover, as a stack, they cover two of the weaker positions, with Segura being a good shortstop option and with Real Muto being one of the best, or probably the best hitting catcher in baseball. So, and then you can, you get legitimate upside guys like, Harper, Hoskins, McCutchen. So I just like them, as a full stack, because I think that they cover positions that are weak, and I think that they have just a lot of really good hitters.
That makes sense. They're pretty expensive on FanDuel. We're projecting 12% aggregate ownership to the Phillies on DraftKings and just 6 on FanDuel. They're just priced up more than most other teams on the slate. So I didn't really get to a ton of Phillies off the jump. I assumed that I would get a lot more on DraftKings. I am getting a ton of Nats, though. Adam Eaton, $3,100 in that leadoff spot. Brian Dozier, still just $2,100, projected to hit second for a second baseman. I got 53%. Like, I can't stop that from coming up until I manually make adjustments. Just like a natural place for me to get to. Tons of Rendon, tons of Soto, tons of Ryan Zimmerman, which is never anything that I really want, but whatever. I'm double the field on the Nats on FanDuel right now. It's going to be a direction that I'm heading. I'm really surprised. Yeah. I wouldn't have expected it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like it, especially the middle of the order.
Yeah, and like the real problem is Dozier's price tag is going to let me, or allow me to get a lot more. That 19% aggregate that I have is kind of skewed a bit by the fact that half of my lineups have Brian Dozier in it.
Is he still 21?
Yep. That's just stupid.
Yep.
It's like it's just broken. And then like everybody on Philly is, Cesar Hernandez 2,800. Everybody else is north of 3K. They're like the opposite version of the Orioles.
Right.
First 2 games, looking pretty good. Do we have any weather concerns with either of these two?
Not that I've seen. Haven't really looked.
Yeah. Maybe a little rain around game time for the Orioles game, but it doesn't appear like we have any real issues. Padres Giants might be a little wet, which is
really,
yeah. Unless I'm looking at weather wrong, which today is not out of the realm of possibility. YouTube chat said, "Are you sure Howie Kendrick isn't going to start over Dozier? Dozier is benched." No, I'm not. This is just the projected lineup that I have in now. None of it matters until it's locked.
Yeah.
I won't look at it again. It's easy to not care in baseball.
Yeah, you don't have to be trying to project lineups at 10 in the morning in baseball.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that he's in the lineup, I guess. Actually, no, I hope that he's not. And I don't have to go down this road of rostering too much of him.
Yeah, but how much is Howie Kendrick?
I have no idea. Probably the same price.
I was going to say probably like 4,200 or something.
He is 22.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going to find that extra $100. Favorite play from the Phillies?
Factoring in position, Real Muto.
I got to go Bryce.
Well, that's really going out on a limb.
Relative to salary too, man. Favorite play on the Nats?
Rendon.
Okay. I mean, if we're throwing out Dozier on FanDuel, I would agree with you. Really close for Soto though.
I'm pulling up. I'm on Baseball Savant now, trying to get the Nats numbers up against hard fastballs, just because going from memory, they have really good numbers. But I wanted to double check that since I had said it like I was sure.
Okay. Let me know.
But also dealing with my computer, so
Oh, yeah. So let me know once we get to that Angels game.
yeah.
Anything else we're missing in this game? Ryan Zimmerman being 2,900 is crazy, but that's positions for FanDuel. It doesn't really matter. There's a million guys to put in that spot. Alrighty. You good to move on?
All right. So since 2017, against right-handed fastballs, 94 miles an hour or greater, Juan Soto has a 453 expected WOBA. Anthony Rendon 418. Ryan Zimmerman 407. Eaton 353. Dozier 338. Everyone else below 300. So yeah, the middle of that order. When you think about, what Velasquez needs to do to be successful, it's probably going to be pretty difficult for him. Looking at ISO against those pitches, again, the middle of the order: Soto 309 ISO, Zimmerman 301, Rendon 242.
It's a little bit of pop.
Yeah.
Sign me up. Astros and Yankees. 4.1 run implied total for the Astros. 3.3 for the Yankees, which is really crazy to think about. 58% chance to win for the Astros. Justin Verlander on the hill for Houston. Masahiro Tanaka going for the Yanks. I'm sure I'll get roasted for this one. Really hard not to love Verlander, in my opinion. He stands out massively over everyone else on FanDuel. Stands out massively for me as well on DraftKings. How do you feel about him here with all of the good shit in the Yankees lineup is largely not there?
I am temporarily on board with you there. I do want to dig in a bit deeper on Verlander just because he's not been very good.
Yeah.
Um, and anytime, I mean, I don't expect, like, my expectation is that it's just a couple of bad starts. Like, I don't expect to find anything, but anytime that you have someone who, you have to keep in mind, Verlander is getting pretty old. And last year was just an absurd season, like best season of his career.
You don't think Kate's keeping him young?
Yeah. Best season of his career at 35, is weird. So I do want to just kind of make sure that nothing is standing out for why he's been bad. But assuming I don't find anything, then yeah, I love Verlander against a Yankees lineup that, like you said, is missing most of its scary parts.
There's so much swing and miss in this lineup too. Verlander could really put up a big time K day. I was really surprised to see a 3.3 run implied total for a Yankees team. That blew my mind. Any guesses as to what Verlander's projected ownership is right now?
On which side?
Either way.
40 on DraftKings.
36 on DK, 46 on FanDuel. Got to think about that.
Swinging strike stuff's still been there this year. Chase percentage is still elite, so those are both good signs.
Yeah, it's a good, helpful points in that direction. Do you have any interest in Tanaka?
Yes. Obviously, really, really scary matchup against Houston, but and this is purely from a tournament standpoint, like, I don't think that you need to take a risk like that in cash games. I don't think he's that underpriced, but you talk about the upside that you can get, and Tanaka has really good swing and miss stuff, really good strikeout stuff. His issue is mostly that he'll struggle with command at different points throughout a game, and it can lead to some home run issues. But just as far as guys that can pile up strikeouts, he's up there with anyone. So in tournaments, I think it's appealing where that what $1,400 or $1,700 on DraftKings gets you an extra batter or two. It lets you access the better stacks, so you can go to, like, the Phillies instead of the Orioles or something like that. So I think that it's appealing in tournaments.
Okay. Didn't really get to any bats here. Nobody more than 1% on either the Astros side or the Yanks side from FanDuel. I literally got 0 from the Yankees side. Are you gonna look at any bats coming out of this game? I mean, I like the idea of getting to a couple Yankee stacks if Verlander's 40% owned.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just because it's still a good offense, and it's it's a highly owned pitcher.
Yeah.
I also don't mind Houston one-offs, especially. I don't particularly want a full stack Houston because for one, Tanaka's good, and for two, the Yankees bullpen is really good.
Yeah.
But as far as one-offs, I mean, we know Tanaka has home run issues. We know that there's a lot of power in the Houston lineup, and Houston's ballpark, while overall it's not a good hitter's park, it does play up home runs. So it's kind of like the perfect spot to just be, grabbing one-offs like Bregman and Springer, et cetera, and just moving on.
Yeah, obviously there's not a shortage of talented hitters in this lineup. So you never have a problem when you see their names pop up, but not the best spot. There's a lot of good games today that you don't need to force any of that in. So I'll be surprised if I get to a lot. Favorite bat in this entire game?
Alex Bregman.
Yeah, I think I would probably agree with you there. I do like that Springer price tag on DraftKings, especially leading off.
Sure.
Oh, I think Judge is going yard today. Got a feeling. Just when I look at his name, maybe it'll be my home run pick.
Do you think Sanchez is hitting another 3?
What'd you say?
I said, do you think Sanchez is hitting 3 more?
Probably not. I think he probably doesn't do that today.
Yeah.
Going out on a limb. Hit that like button, everybody. Team McBee let you guys know we don't have nearly enough of them. So hit it on your way in the door, hit it on your way out of the door, but hit that like button. It helps out a lot. Cardinals and Dodgers. 4.2 run implied total for the Cardinals. 4.3 for the Dodgers. It's a 51% chance to win for LA. Miles Michaelis going for St. Louis. Hyun-Jin Ryu going for the Dodgers. Great matchup of two solid pitchers that I will likely not have much of on FanDuel. Ryu being $1,700 more than Michaelis is kind of interesting. Not like Michaelis has some amazing swing and miss stuff. He's not a great DFS pitcher, more of a good real life pitcher. You getting to either one of these guys?
I have some interest in Ryu just because I think he is really good, and even though he's a lefty, he doesn't have issues with righties. So the makeup of the Cardinals lineup isn't overly concerning to me. But at the same time, 9,600 for a guy that I really have trouble, thinking can go really deep into a game because there's no reason for the Dodgers to be having him go really deep into games at this point. So that's concerning. Like you have Justin Verlander for $700 more, who is going to just, go as deep as he wants.
Yeah.
And then you have Ryu for $700 less, who from the 5th inning on, you're going to be sweating Dave Roberts pulling him from the game. So that's pretty concerning for me. And then also, I mean, the Cardinals, it's not like the Cardinals lineup is bad. I just am not concerned about the platoon splits. So I don't think I'll end up getting to too much of either of these pitchers. Michaelis is someone that I basically never roster, so I know I won't be getting there.
Yeah, he's a hard sell unless it's a very specific slate. There's just
I'm definitely more interested in the Dodgers bats than Michaelis.
As am I. I've got a little bit more of the Dodgers. I don't really have any part of the Cardinals. I'm not too upset about that either. Not really solid implied run totals, so it's going to be hard for me to get to a lot here. Jock and Corey Seager are the two guys that are getting any sort of real run for me. 3,400 on FanDuel for Jock, 3,100 for Seager. I got both of those guys in double digits of ownership. It's kind of where they're being projected. It's not like I'm massively ahead on the Dodgers. Those are just the two that are coming out, but I'm really not on this game all that much. Who's standing out?
I haven't crunched yet, but I think I'll get a lot of Dodgers stacks on DraftKings. Their prices are just too cheap for the upside that they offer. Jock and Seager are affordably priced there as well. Max Muncy's only 4,300. Justin Turner's 4,200. Turner should really never be that cheap. And then Cody Bellinger. Pollock's 4,300. And then Cody Bellinger is the only expensive bat, but it's Cody Bellinger, so I don't even mind paying for that. I don't really respect Michaelis. I don't expect him to be that good of a pitcher going forward. I think he's pretty mediocre. He pitches to contact, and you have a ton of power in the Dodgers lineups at affordable prices. So, again, haven't crunched, but would expect that I get a lot of Dodgers.
Okay. Yeah, they price tags are pretty appealing on DK, and they've got a really nice positional mix. Cody Bellinger being a first baseman on DraftKings, outfielder on FanDuel. You're getting a shortstop and a third baseman in the 2 and 3 spots of the lineup. Makes it really easy to get to. So yeah. I see that quite a bit.
Bellinger losing outfield eligibility sucks though because it makes it so you can't roster more than 2 of Turner, Muncy, and Bellinger.
Yeah. Well, you could just
But
not roster Muncy because he's Muncy.
looking at Michaelis's numbers against lefties last year, he allowed 1 home run per 9 innings, but 16.8% strikeout percentage, obviously not very intimidating, but also he throws strikes, 3.3% walk percentage. That's something that I think people don't really look at all that much when you're, trying to figure out hitters to take. But walks in DFS are essentially, useless plate appearances unless you're like at the end of a game and you really need those 2 points. But so whenever I get a pitcher that doesn't strike guys out and doesn't walk guys, it becomes a little bit more appealing from an upside standpoint because you know that your guys are going to be hitting the ball.
That's a good point.
It's why like Willians Astudillo is always an appealing hitting play because he doesn't strike out, he doesn't walk. You know that every time he's up there, he's hitting the ball.
That's a good. I never really prioritized that thought process, but it is a really good one, knowing that you want balls in play in some form or fashion. Anything else in this game?
Nope, pretty much just Dodgers bats for me.
Okay. Head to KC. Royals hosting the Mariners. 4.6 run implied total for the Royals. 4.9 for the Mariners. It's a 53% chance to win. Homer Bailey on the hill for KC. Felix Hernandez for Seattle. And if this was a start from 8 years ago, I think this would have been really, really fun to watch. Homer Bailey, neither one of these two pitchers should be in play on FanDuel. Homer Bailey, on the other hand, pretty in play on DraftKings as an SP2. Talk to me about Homer Bailey.
I will probably end up with more than I'm comfortable with because he's $5,000 and there are a lot of bats that I like. I had him in like almost 20% of my lineups the other day against Minnesota. That went well. I need to dig into him more, like just to figure out if there's anything that changed. Like he struck out 8 in that game. There were times last season where I thought that we were seeing some signs of life from him and started to get excited, and it wasn't the case. So it's one of those, you're not going to have any confidence in it, but there are plenty of bats to pay for on this slate. There's not a ton of opportunity cost at pitcher, and rostering a guy at $5,000 isn't the craziest thing.
Does it change your mind at all if he's pretty chalky?
Yeah. I don't even know that it would, playing max entries, I don't even know that it would change my mind all that much on rostering him, but it would certainly bump the Mariners for me.
Right. Yeah, 29% projected ownership on DraftKings right now.
I don't think I'll get there. That's that's a little crazy.
Yeah, I needed to lead you down that path first. Royals bats a little chalky on DraftKings as well. Same for the Mariners. I'm surprised, but I'm not getting the Royals or Mariners on FanDuel with any sort of volume. Nobody into double digits. Just 9% of Mondesi. They're a lot. It looks like their price tags are a lot better on DraftKings than they are on FanDuel. So would you prefer the Mariners to the Royals here? Knowing Bailey's expected ownership.
Knowing Bailey's ownership, yeah. So also I have Bailey's Fangraphs page up and was just kind of briefly looking at things that I would end up digging into more later. He did throw his splitter 25% of the time against Minnesota. That's really good to see. He threw his curveball more as well, threw less fastballs. All those are good things to see in basically any pitcher, but definitely in Bailey.
Steamer has him for a 5.8 K per 9 and a 5.04 FIP. That is so bad. So bad.
Yes, it is.
Oh my god. Here. So I have a Thrive prop for you. Are you interested?
Yeah.
Thrive baseball props. It's not just basketball, guys. You go to bit.ly/Awesemo and use the promo code AwesemoStrat. Get a free $5. You don't have to do a thing. You just get $5. Whit Merrifield is in this game. 0.5 steals is the category. You get 140 points if he swipes a bag. I know that you have nothing set up to probably figure out even remotely close.
If I remember correctly, Narvaez is decent at throwing. I'm trying to get Hernandez's stolen base numbers up. What did you say the scoring was?
It's 140 points for the over.
I would probably take the over just because Merrifield will try and run against pretty much anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting prop. That's a lot of points for the over. But it pretty clearly is under way more often than it's over.
Hernandez was average, or he was a little below average to. Yeah, he's not good at holding runners. He's average to below average throughout his career, which makes me more interested in Kansas City overall too.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Royals. Top of their order is pretty healthily owned on DK. Similar story for the Mariners, actually. We've got Whit Merrifield at 23% expected ownership on DraftKings. Mondesi and Gordon are both at 16, Soler at 14. I don't love the Royals stack, but there's runs to be had here, and, well, Felix Hernandez is not Felix Hernandez of old.
Yeah, I mean, I don't particularly like them all that much at that ownership, but as I just said about Hernandez, he hasn't been good at holding runners. Merrifield, Mondesi, obviously, are going to run any chance that they get. So, I like them. I just don't know that ownership is where it should be.
Sure. I'm really surprised that the Mariners are getting so much love. If their projected lineup goes outfield, 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 that's a really difficult team to start to stack.
Yes, it is.
But they're popular.
So I'm going through Baseball Savant on Homer Bailey because I had mentioned him throwing his splitter more and him throwing his curveball more. Last season on his splitter, he allowed a 288 expected WOBA with an 18% swinging strike percentage. That's actually really good.
Yeah.
So if he actually throws that pitch a lot, then that would be a positive change for him, I would expect. As far as his curveball, he allowed, well, of course, they have it broken down as a knuckle curve, I'm guessing, instead of a curveball. So it's really annoying. 289 expected WOBA on his apparently knuckle curveball with a 11.3% swing strike percentage. So not as impressive there, but the splitter that he threw 25% of the time in that first start is certainly something that I'll be keeping an eye on, if that's a consistent thing. And also it makes me, a little bit more interested in him at 5K today.
Okay. Yeah, it's so weird how FanDuel and DraftKings can be so different, with Homer Bailey being completely irrelevant on a FanDuel slate and in a third of projected lineups right now on DK. It just changes the entire makeup of everything, changes the way you need to cheer for things. Go FanDuel. Favorite bat in this game?
Mondesi?
Yeah, I think so too, especially on FanDuel, 4,100 shortstop. Jay Bruce is close for me.
Yeah, that was going to be my second one.
Just kind of blends in with everybody, but he's the cheapest of the four outfielders at the top of the lineup on FanDuel and on DraftKings, and I think that that's probably a little wrong. So a little value in Jay Bruce. No reason that Bruce can't take Homer Bailey yard. Head to Coors. Rockies 5.5 run implied total. Braves 5. It's a 54% chance to win for the Rockies. Kyle Freeland on the hill for Colorado. Julio Teheran going for Atlanta. Another spot where I don't anticipate having either of these pitchers on FanDuel. And on DraftKings, my boy Julio is even more popular than Homer Bailey. How do you feel about that one? Also, 5,800 is the price tag for DK.
I'll take Homer Bailey over Julio.
Okay.
I'll take Kyle Freeland over Julio.
Not a big Julio guy?
No. Especially not in Coors Field, but in general, no.
I have Julio ahead of both of those guys, Bailey and Freeland.
I mean, Freeland's a legitimately very good above average pitcher. The other two are not.
Is he?
Yeah.
7.5K per 9 and a 443 FIP from Steamer.
Yeah, he pitches in Coors Field.
Yeah, those are park neutral numbers.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a heavy strikeout guy, but he's not. Yeah, Freeland's legitimately good, I think. Not like last season good, but he's good.
Let's go with legitimately average.
He's better than average. Those numbers are wrong.
Okay. So how much do you like him then at 6,200? Does playing in cores slow you down a lot here? 9% expected ownership.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I hate the ballpark. I hate taking guys against Atlanta. But if he's projected for 9% and Tehran's more than that and Bailey's 30, I have no issue being overweight on Freeland.
Sure, that makes perfect sense to me. I mean, I have Freeland and Tehran separated by 0.2 of a point, which is probably not what you need for a gap of 34 to 9 in ownership.
Yeah.
Rockies bats are popping up big time for me. No part of that surprises me. They're obviously popular. They are priced accordingly on DraftKings, so DK got out in front of that one. FanDuel, on the other hand, not as much. I'm going to have a bunch of Colorado here because my boy Julio can give it up from time to time. And Coors Field is a pretty decent place to hit the ball, as evidenced by the highest run total on the slate. So what do you want to do with the Rockies today?
Yeah, definitely like the Rockies. David Dahl being injured makes them less appealing for sure.
Yeah.
It's a left-handed bat with speed against Tehran, which is really what you want. Blackman, I think, at 5,200 on DraftKings is a top play. Lefty, power, speed, all of it, really, really nice against Tehran. The fact that that Colorado does have such a right-handed heavy lineup does scare me a bit. Tehran is a lot better against righties than lefties, but still give the advantage to Colorado. But the only guy that really jumps out as like a great individual play for me is Blackman.
I actually have Arenado a little bit ahead of him on DraftKings, but it's pretty close. Same projection, Arenado being $200 more expensive, but third base to outfield I think is a little bit more valuable. No issue with Blackman. Like I said, I'm going to have a lot of these guys. The top of the order looks really good for me. We'll see how that shakes out as ownership starts to change throughout the day. What about the Braves? They're not really popping up for me. I'm basically on like half of the public's exposure. We have Josh Donaldson on FanDuel at 29% expected ownership, $3,900. What's standing out for you from Atlanta?
Not a lot. Obviously, you could make the argument like to just roster the lower owned team in cores, and I think that's fine.
Yeah.
But I just have a lot of respect for Freeland as a pitcher. I mean, he does a really good job keeping the ball on the ground in cores. His strikeout percentage goes up a bit as well. But in his career at home against righties, 55.6% ground ball percentage, 27.4% fly ball percentage. Really does a good job there. Against lefties, he actually piles up strikeouts too. So I'm not all that interested in Freeman or Markakis. Obviously, they're difficult to strike out, but Freeland has like 30+% strikeout percentages against lefties. So the fact that he's so good at keeping the ball on the ground, he locates his pitches really well. I don't really have that much interest in Atlanta.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. I got to 12% Donaldson. That was the most I had of anybody, and public's double that. Very little of the rest of these guys, so I anticipate being underweight on the Braves. Give me the guy with 2 last names on the Braves. I don't know. Who has 2 last names?
No, I don't know. Swanson, maybe?
I guess. Yeah. The rest of those are all pretty classically first-named people.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of process of elimination. I can't think of anyone with the last name Dansby, though.
Carlos Dansby? The football player? I think he went to Clemson, maybe? I don't know.
I'll take your word for it.
No one cares. Yeah, Coors is just, I don't know, oddly not what I was expecting today. I thought that I would get a lot of Braves and I'd be pumped about it. Not the case. All right, keep an eye on this one because we might get some weather. Giants and Padres, 3.7 run implied total for the Giants, 3.3 for the Padres. This is basically the opposite of the last game. Madison Bumgarner on the hill for the Giants. Eric Lauer going for San Diego. I like Bumgarner a little bit here, and I don't ever enjoy rostering him, but he, to me, is my second best option on FanDuel. What do you want to do with Bumgarner?
I mean, if you're ever going to roster him, it should be when he's pitching in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I still think I would rather, from a tournament perspective, and more so thinking DraftKings because he's 9,300. I'd rather take some shots at right-handed power from San Diego. Like they're not going to be owned because people still think Bumgarner is good for God knows what reason, and because they have a 3.4 implied run total. Taking shots on guys like Machado and Hunter Renfroe, I think, is really appealing.
Yeah. Like I said, I think Bumgarner grades out as my second best pitcher, but he's projected for 22% ownership on DraftKings. There's not that big of a gap between, like, Ryu is at 3% expected ownership.
Right.
I don't see them as that appreciably different.
Yeah, like DraftKings where they're $300 apart. I don't think I'll get much of either, but I'd rather have Ryu than Bumgarner.
Right. Same. And like Tanaka is 4%. Bumgarner is smack dab in between those guys at 22.
Yeah.
I just would rather not do that.
Right. I'd take Tanaka over either of them.
Okay. Any interest in you for Eric Lauer, 7,500 on DraftKings?
He would be my preferred option in that price range. I don't know how often I end up getting to that price range, but
He's
facing
unowned, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, to me he's like an average pitcher,
Mhm.
but he's in a phenomenal pitcher's park, and he's facing a Giants team that is not very good. I his price point isn't where I'm, looking to get him in lineups. I think that in general, you'll get more upside in your lineups by taking a chance on whoever your favorite of the Bailey, Tehran, Freeland group is, saving that money and being able to get up to like a Verlander or something like that, than by going like with mid-range pitching on this particular slate. But in my rosters where I just end up in that range of pitcher, I would rather have Lauer than anyone else that we've talked about in that range.
Yeah, he's just slightly overpriced for today's slate.
Yeah.
Because if he was like 6,800, I think that he would be really, really popular.
Right.
Shocking that if you lower someone's price, their ownership goes up. But I think it's a bit more extreme for him just because of this matchup, and the Giants suck. It's a fantastic run environment. It's just a really appealing place to play, but keep an eye on the weather because it could be a little murky around first pitch. You going to get to any bats in this game?
I like the Padres one-offs. I mean, 4,200 for Machado against the mediocre lefty is really, really appealing. Same goes for 3,900 for Reyes and Renfroe. 3,600 for Ian Kinsler. Padres actually are, if you're looking to pay up for two pitchers, Padres are a pretty nice stack. They're affordable. They have power. Bumgarner's an average pitcher.
Yeah, they look a little bit better on DraftKings than they do on FanDuel, in my opinion. Ian Kinsler's at 17% expected ownership. Just like a one-off second base option.
Yeah, I agree with you that they're more appealing on DraftKings too, because DraftKings hitters, we don't have those really underpriced guys like we do on FanDuel.
Yeah, like Machado is $200 more expensive on FanDuel, so that's usually not how this works.
Yeah.
I don't mind getting to the Padres. I don't really have much interest in these guys on FanDuel. I didn't get much of either the Giants or the Padres, and that doesn't shock me. It's going to be really hard for me to ever get a lot of volume to hitting stacks in a 7-run implied total game. That's just not how this is going to work. I will take a closer look at getting to some Padres if Bumgarner is relatively highly owned, just because. But otherwise, it's just not an appealing offensive environment. Okay, we're going to close this out. Man, baseball moves so much faster.
Yeah.
God, we're going to get back to basketball season next year, and it's going to take us 6 hours to get through a show.
Right.
Oh, Angels and Brewers, late night hammer. 4.4 run implied total for the Angels, 4.5 for the Brewers. It's a 51% chance to win for Milwaukee. Trevor Cahill on the hill for the Angels. Julius Chassin going for Milwaukee. Another game where I'm super not interested on the FanDuel side. If I'm looking on DK, though, I would have a little bit of interest in Trevor Cahill. What do you prefer here from a pitching standpoint?
Yeah, I agree with you there. The price tag's just a little bit cheap on Cahill as far as the upside goes. Yeah. It's a really scary matchup, and that's why I would still have Lauer a little bit ahead of him. But
oh my God, it's really scary. The 2 through 8 hitters all have 200 plus ISOs.
Yeah, it's a terrifying matchup. So yeah, not feeling real comfortable with Cahill. But I think that he's more talented than a $7,100 price tag, or at least he has more upside than a $7,100 price tag.
I do
I
not
think
disagree.
Cahill has a higher ceiling than Eric Lauer. I think that I feel a lot better about Eric Lauer
Trevor
as far as
Cahill, 20% expected ownership on DraftKings. Eric Lauer, 2.
yeah, like if those were flipped, I would take Cahill, but I'll take Lauer at those ownerships.
Yep, I agree. I completely agree. The gap between all of these guys in like that high 6, low 7 range is not nearly as much as the extremes of their ownership are showing.
Yeah. Another reason that it's a scary matchup for Cahill also is that he's not good at holding runners, and Milwaukee's got, in addition to all their power, they have plenty of speed too.
How are you feeling about the bats in this game? Brewers kind of popular on DraftKings. A lot of it is just Locane and Shaw. Angels are a little bit more popular on FanDuel, thanks to Justin Bour being $2,600 and still hitting third in the lineup.
Yeah.
So, what do you like in here? What's standing
Yeah.
out to you?
I got some interest in the bats because for Milwaukee, I think it's really appealing as a full stack, more so. Actually, I mean, even some of the one-offs are good, but when Cahill gets in trouble, it's normally because he's walking guys and because he allows stolen bases. So I prefer full stacking against pitchers that have really good stuff and are difficult to hit, but that occasionally struggle with their control because individual hitters getting 2 points at a time isn't really that useful, but getting 5 of them into a lineup, if they're going to have a ton of base runners all game, gives you a bunch of upside. But the stolen base upside for these guys makes it so I'm still interested, in one-offs with guys like Kane, that has a lot of speed. Even the middle of this order, guys like Braun and Shaw and Yelich, they teams like they have enough speed where they could steal on Cahill. So I think that gives some extra upside to Milwaukee as well.
Yeah, I would like to get more of these Milwaukee bats. They are just not an easy team to get to on FanDuel. 3 outfielders right out of the gate. Yelich is crazy expensive. Um, I don't know. I'm not getting to as much as I would have expected.
Yeah,
They're just not.
I'd take the Dodgers at the same price as the Brewers on DraftKings.
Okay. I think that when I get closer to lock, I'll have a lot more like one-off Brewer bats.
Yeah, I would prioritize guys with speed,
Okay.
but that's yeah.
How you feeling about Michael Trout? Anything interesting here?
He's decent. Um, I'd be interested in Chacin against this Angels team if he were cheaper.
Yeah, 8,100
8,100.
is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just outside of the top three, and Calhoun's questionable. If Calhoun's out, I'd have more interest in Chacin. Like he's a really heavy splits guy. He's not very good against lefties. He's really good against righties. You look at the lefties in this projected lineup. Brian Goodwin and Tommy La Stella aren't anything you're concerned about. Justin Bour is okay. Cole Calhoun is pretty good, and then Trout against anyone. But it's just not a very good Angels lineup right now. And if Calhoun's out, that's probably their best left-handed bat that's not in the lineup. So that's something to keep an eye on. We could get a lineup where it's just kind of like sneakily really good for Chacin, and the price tag's expensive enough where I don't really want to pay it, but I know I'm not in the minority there, and I expect that a lot of people will pay it. So that's something to at least keep an eye on. But if Calhoun's in, I think the top three for the Angels is kind of a mini stack that I like. Calhoun and Bour with some power from the left side, and then Trout just because he's Trout.
Yeah, it's a tough spot for Chacin. This Angels lineup has no strikeouts in it whatsoever. Brian Goodwin, it Ks a lot, but 18% aggregate strikeout rate if I weight these guys based on their plate appearances for the game. Crazy low.
Yeah, and it's not even like there's one or two guys skewing that.
No.
It's Trout doesn't really strike out at a crazy amount. Bour doesn't strike out a lot. Simmons doesn't strike out. Period. Pujols doesn't strike out a lot. Lucroy doesn't strike out a lot. So it's always scarier too. Like because it's one thing to average a team out and you have like Angelton Simmons at 5% and one other guy like that, and everyone else is 24%. Like I don't care about that as much, but with this team, it's just a bunch of guys that don't strike out.
Is Chacin the worst pitching play on DraftKings today?
No.
I guess besides Cashner.
Hernandez.
I don't know. At least he's only 6,900. 8,100 for Chacin in this spot feels insane.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the price tag's not good, but I also think he has a good game. So it's, I mean, the thing with like baseball is that what you're looking at in pricing varies so much. It's not like basketball, you
True.
know. If I have a team with a relatively cheap stack and I end up in with $8,200 left over, it's not like basketball where I can save $200 a pitcher and then automatically be getting a better play at hitter.
Sure.
So
Yeah, no, there doesn't have to be any difference to the opposite side of that coin.
right.
Homer Bailey
Yeah.
is not the worst starter on this slate. It's for sure
Worst starter or
100%
worst
Andrew
player?
Kashner.
You saying worst DFS player or worst
Somebody
pitcher?
said Homer Bailey in the YouTube chat, but
He's probably the worst pitcher.
he's not worse than Kashner.
He is.
No, he's not. Andrew
He
Kashner
might not.
should not be in the league.
Homer Bailey is barely in the league. Cashner's not that bad.
Maybe we should say it like this. Neither one of them should be in the league.
Cashner belongs in a starting rotation.
A 5.6 Ks per nine and a 547 steamer. And you think like the starting rotation of what? The independent leagues?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Cashner's that bad. I don't think he's good.
Dude, you are such a homer. You love everything that the Orioles do. I would love for you to point me to one stat that makes Andrew Kashner look decent.
I don't know. I'm trying to pull up Fangraphs now to see.
And you can't get stats from like 2007 or whenever he was actually good and pitching in San Diego.
Was he ever actually good?
No, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
And it's certainly not, he's not getting better with age. Dude's aging like milk.
Yeah, I mean, he's not good. I don't think that, like, Homer Bailey, barring any possible changes that we talked about where maybe he actually finally puts it together, but Homer Bailey, I think, is pretty clearly worse than Cashner.
Well, you know what's really funny? Andrew Kashner doesn't even have the highest projected FIP in his own game. Marco Estrada 5.68 via steamer.
Wow.
0.2 of a run higher than Andrew Kashner. Just say they both suck and move on. But I do have another Thrive prop for you. This one a little bit more fun for us. Mike Trout, runs plus RBIs. 0.5 is the number. Does Trout score a run or get an RBI, you get 85 points for the over.
Still over.
Yeah. Any dong wins it. And then, I mean, if anybody's going to score a run or bat someone in, you got to assume that Trout does most of that damage. Anything else?
I didn't realize Cashner had a 40% ground ball percentage last season. That's not good.
What did you think it was, man?
Close to 50.
You think he was like Brandon Webb? Beating that
I mean,
thing into the ground?
he's been a ground ball guy his whole career. He's got like a 48% ground ball percentage for his career.
He's just been bad his entire career. Favorite Brewers bet?
Kane? Yeah, Kane.
Me Shaw. Favorite Angels bat that isn't Mike Trout?
Calhoun if he's in. Bohr if Calhoun's out.
Yeah, Bohr for me by a mile on FanDuel. 22% expected ownership though, so I'll basically never be anywhere near that as long as he keeps being owned like that. I think that's it. 54 minutes. Look at us. In and out. No basketball today, everybody. Just go watch the barn burner of Virginia and Texas Tech, I guess. Can't get enough of that one. Later today, we will have the deep dive from Laffy. Deeper dive will start at 5 o'clock. Adam and Laffy walking through these games again. And then 6 to 7, live before lock, I will be back. Myself, Jake Hari, breaking down these games all the way up until 7:05, I assume. Anything else, man?
No, I think this is a pretty fun slate to dig into. So
yeah,
looking forward to doing the deeper dive later.
Keep keep your eye on content from Osimo. We've got a lot of stuff going on right now, and it's Masters Week. We've got a lot of golf content coming out this entire week. So if you're interested in playing any DFS golf, now's the time to do it. It won't get any bigger than the Masters. What?
It's my new best sport.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Wait, did you close well yesterday?
No, I mean, I like 3x'd, but no,
Okay.
I had 25 times the field on the guy that won the tournament, and he was 1% owned, and still didn't really even get a sweat.
Not fun. Hit that like button, people. C McBee knows what's what. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you for joining us. We will be back tomorrow morning to do the same thing. 2 more days of NBA, and then it's all gone. Can't wait. Adios, everybody.